I don't have anything witty or insightful or funny to say today. We got so much we got to go through. So from the Vault 319 recording room, this is the Tweakle Podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Alexander, the voice in the void, the lone wolf, your favorite host with a lisp. Happy Sunday to you, and welcome to another episode of the Tweakle Podcast. If you've been watching this for a while, thank you very much for hanging with us. And this is your first time, check out any of the older episodes. I'm pretty sure you'll find something that you'll like. We got a lot to go through today. I know we've been gone a while, but I took some time off for the holiday, and last week we just had way too much stuff going on around here. I didn't get to it, and a ton has gone on. We got a lot of news. We have 4 different reviews that we're going to go through today in rapid succession. We're just going to get through all of it, and we're going to have fun doing it. So without further ado, let's get right into the news. So kicking off our news in the somber style, we always say death come in threes, but over the past couple of weeks, it's come in threes twice. We have 6 different names. If you are a millennial or a Gen X, every single name is from something that we all watched growing up through the 80s and the 90s. It's just sad when you think about it. Shelley Duvall is at the top of the list. She actually passed back on the 11th. She's most notable for playing Wendy Torrance opposite Jack Nicholson in The Shining, but she also, for me, she played Olive Oyl in Popeye. It was just such a fun movie. We also have Angela Bofill, who actually passed back in June, and I didn't know that, and that kind of hurts. I used to listen to her music and listen to her sing all the time growing up. My parents would play her music just consistently all the time. She could sing anything. She had such a wonderful voice. Then we have Richard Simmons. Now, Richard Simmons was Mr. Sweating to the oldies himself, always telling everybody to get up and be active. Everything was exercise. You can do anything, and he was just such a flamboyant and just a top of the world and out of this world personality. Such a very fun person to watch. And through the 80s, we always saw his infomercials. If you were one of those people like me who were always up late at night. Then we have Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Much like Richard Simmons, you would see her infomercials or see her on TV, and she was a sex therapist, and she was always saying that sex can be fun, should be fun, it should be enjoyed by everybody, but it should be done safely. She was always advocating about safe sex, especially during the time when AIDS was a new thing and people didn't understand what it was about and how it can be transmitted from one person to another. To see her go is something I honestly, even when I was younger, she was old, but to see that she almost made it to 100 years old, that's saying something. And we have Bob Newhart, who actually just passed a few days ago. It's Sunday, so it was Friday when he passed away. Bob Newhart obviously is from the Bob Newhart Show and the reboot of his old TV show Newhart that lasted almost to the year 2000. Such a great comedian, stand-up comedian, writer. Just look on his IMDb and see all the things that he's been in over the years. Even if you aren't Gen X or millennial, you've seen him in something. That's how long he's been around in the game doing comedy. And we have Shannon Doherty, Beverly Hills 90210, and for me, one of my absolute favorite TV shows, Charmed. Such a great actress. She had been fighting cancer for a while now. On her podcast, she had always talked about how much the cancer had the toll it had taken on her. She had always had this little beef going on with a few people from the TV show Charmed, but it seemed like over the past few years that they had laid those axes to rest and they had become friends again. So to see her go, it's kind of sad, because I love Charmed and that whole TV show. It had a reboot, but the reboot wasn't nowhere near as good as the original. Shelley Duvall was 79, Angela Bofill was 70, Richard Simmons was 76, Dr. Ruth Westheimer was 96, Bob Newhart was 94, and Shannon Doherty was 53. At the box office, Despicable Me 4 took the #1 spot and now has brought in $458 million worldwide, and I'm pretty sure that number will be a lot higher by the time this weekend is over. Number 2 on its debut, Longlegs. Seems like a really good horror movie, so I'm gonna have to go see that, and we'll talk about it after I do. So far, 35.6. Again, that'll be more by the time this weekend is over. And number 3, Inside Out, which is now officially, over the past couple of weeks, the #1 movie of the year, and it's not even close. $1.4 billion worldwide. That is a fantastic movie. It's going to be one of the 4 movies we review in our review section up next after the news, so stick around and make sure you see that. The new movies that I do want to see in the theaters now is Long Legs. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see that. And Twisters that actually came out this weekend. Now, this is a remake. I'm not really big on remakes. I said before, I'm actually okay if a sufficient amount of time has passed since you're remaking it. So I do want to see how this one's going to turn out. Thus far, people are saying it's really good, as good, if not better than the original. So I love a good disaster flick. I love disaster flick movies. So after I go see it, we will review it. And actually, on that same episode, when we review Twisters, I'll give you my top 5 disaster movies. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had trailers, and more trailers. And I mean a ton of them, and they all look really good. So we've had trailers for Captain America Brave New World, Agatha All Along, Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League, which is Batman Ninja Part 2, Alien Romulus, Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, we've had a couple more trailers for them actually. Gladiator 2, Hellboy, The Crooked Man, The Wasp, Dune Prophecy, and F1. Now for me, they all look amazing. Like I said, all the trailers, or not all of them, but as many as I could get that they'll allow me to keep up, they are on IG. So if you haven't seen a lot of those, go over there and watch them. I love the fact that when you watch the trailer for Captain America, you can tell that there's a new direction that Marvel is going in. And as far as DC, another animated film that I already know is going to be good, because when it comes to animation, DC is king as far as these films go. And then honestly, I think a lot of DC's animated features, they're better than a lot of Disney movies. That's just me though, but that's just how I see it. As far as wanting to see any of these movies, I want to see them all, but I really want to see what's going to happen with Dune Prophecy, because this is supposed to be a prequel where we see the Bene Gesserit come into power. I do want to see Agatha All Along, definitely. That's at the top of my list, but I'm really interested in seeing Hellboy, The Crooked Man. The original 2 films were well received. The third one people hated unnecessarily, because the third one was much more like the comic. It was dark, it was gritty. This one seems to be kind of striking a tone right in between the original 2 and that third one. So I want to see how that one's going to turn out. I got a feeling people aren't going to like it, but I think it's going to be a fantastic movie. And I'm really interested in seeing The Wasp. If you have not seen the trailer for The Wasp, watch that trailer on our Instagram page. It is going to make you want to see the film. Oh, and speaking of that Captain America Brave New World trailer, did you notice somebody that was in that trailer? Yes, Giancarlo Esposito is front and center in a couple of cuts inside of that trailer. Now, to me, just looking at how we see him in that trailer, I'm thinking he's going to be playing G.W. Bridge. Now, they've all but said that that's who he's playing. They haven't actually come out and said that, yes, that's who he's playing, but I think that's who it is. I've checked every single character I could check as far as who he could possibly be playing in this film, because they haven't given us any clue. And G.W. Bridge is the only one that I can think of. Now, why G.W. Bridge, I don't know. And if you've never heard of that character, right after the news, I'm going to give you a short primer on who that character is, so you'll be ready to see it when it does come out. So if you had $8.5 billion, would you go buy Paramount? Because if you actually had $8.5 billion, you could have overbid and probably could have taken control of it. And that's exactly what Skydance did. Now, they paid $8.4 billion to take control of Paramount, and not just Paramount, but also their streaming service, Paramount Plus. So $8.4 billion is the price tag that allows Skydance to take a controlling stake in Paramount, which means they are going to be in control of the storied movie studio, and they get all of that control from the Redstone family. I don't know if the Redstone family has any control over it. Maybe they have a minor stake in it still, but it seems like the Skydance company will take over pretty much all of everything that has to do with it. Skydance is usually into doing movies for streaming sites, especially Netflix. They've done movies like Geostorm, No Remorse, Old Guard, which was a fantastic movie that a whole lot of people didn't pay attention to, but they also did big in theater movies like Star Trek Into the of Darkness, World War Z, and the Mission Impossible films, number 5 and number 6 specifically. They seem to be doing a lot in order to focus on pushing more movies on Paramount Plus. I think that's what Skydance really is going to get into. They're going to put most of their attention on doing films that are going to specifically show up on Paramount Plus to get people to subscribe to Paramount Plus. Because as far as streaming sites, that one is usually at the bottom, right around, with Peacock. A lot of people aren't keep buying it versus, say, Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu and whatnot. So whatever happens with that, I'll let you know. It was reported that Sony was in the running to buy it, but I guess that price tag was a little bit more than Sony wanted to pay. But whatever happens with it, and they come up with any more news, I'll let you know. X-Men 97 gets a little bit of good news, and well, it's all good news if you really think about it. So we knew that season 1 is already in the can. Fantastic season, but they've been nominated for an Emmy, and they deserved it. That was such a fantastic first season. They've been nominated for Most Outstanding Animated Series. To me, the only animated series that's going to stack up for them is probably be Suicide Squad Isekai, but I don't think is anywhere near as good as X-Men 97. But also on their front, we knew that the second season was coming out, and it was done, and they just had to wait for their time to release it. But they also have now hired a new director for what will become the third season. That man's name is Matthew Chauncey. He's been hired, like I said, to be the new writer for season 3. He'll be working alongside Jack Castorena for season 3, and Jack Castorena will be the director going forward. That pretty much puts everything with Bo DeMeo, I never mind the back burner, just completely out the window. I'm still trying to figure out what happened with them. So obviously this can't be something criminal, because if Bo DeMeo did something criminal and they haven't actually said anything to the police or whatnot, then they are complicit in it. So it can't be anything criminal. It has to be something personal, and I got a feeling I know what it is, but I'm not going to say it because I have no proof of it. But I'll just leave it alone. To see them actually get nominated for an Emmy, it's well deserved. To me, I'm hoping that Bo DeMeo gets another chance on a different show with Disney, because obviously he understands these characters, especially for the X-Men universe, and I think specifically they need to hire him to do the X-Men movie. Right? If you're not going to put him back on the animated series, allow him to work on the X-Men movies. But we'll see how that happens. The Emmys don't come on for a few more weeks. I specifically don't watch award shows, but if you want to know what happens on the Emmys and you're not going to watch it, just let me know and I'll watch it and I'll give you the results later on. So I guess Crunchyroll doesn't actually like when you comment on any of their videos. So over the past few weeks, Crunchyroll has decided to disable all comments across the board on every single video that they have up on their website. Now that comes because they say that they disabled the comments permanently because they don't like a lot of what's being said about about the anime, and they are doing it basically for our safety. Now I don't specifically know why they're doing it. What they say is one thing and what they really do is probably going to be another. To me, I think that they have disabled the comments because a lot of the comments are aimed at Crunchyroll for using AI a hell of a lot more than they admit. They get caught using AI quite a bit, and people have called them out in the comments. So what they've done is they've disabled the comments so people can't call them out. And I honestly think that that's what it's all about. But if they do re-enable the comments and you don't catch it, I'll catch it and I'll let you know when they do. Today's news segment by flipping a coin, heads or tails. You tell me if it's bad news or good news for you. So it seems that Jamie Lee Curtis will not join the One Piece cast after so many months and days of angling and sending media messages on social media back and forth between her and the directors and writers for the One Piece live action series on Netflix. It seems like she's not going to be playing Dr. Kureha. Now, I think at some point they offered it to her and told her, hey, if you want to, you come and test and we'll see how we can get it done. But because of scheduling conflicts, and that's the reason that has been given, she won't be in the live action One Piece series going forward. Right now, they're actually filming the second season. They just got started a few days ago, but she's already mixed up in doing two separate projects right now, and she doesn't have the time to go and film everything that she needs to film with them. So maybe they skip over the arc with her in it and just don't add her, and then maybe she can come back later on. I highly doubt that that's going to happen, because the next season, they said, is going to focus on the very arc that Dr. Dr. Kureha is very much in the center of. So it doesn't look like she's going to be in it going forward. And that's kind of sad. To me, that was sad. I really wanted to see her in it. Number one, if you look at her, that we've seen photos of her dressed as Dr. Kureha online, and she looks exactly like the character. Add on to the fact that she is a One Piece slappy. She has seen every episode. She has read all the manga. She owns all of it. She is a true fan. I thought if she would have been in it, she would have done a great job, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So to me, it's kind of sad, but I've seen online a whole lot of people saying that they're happy it's not her. They want somebody else. But either way, it's sad, and we'll see who that second season does come out, I think sometime next year, probably around April. So when that does come out, I wonder how good it's going to be, because that first season was phenomenal, so they got a lot to live up to. Also coming out next year, not even next year, very soon, Arcane season 2. If you want to see the trailer for that, that is over on the Instagram page. And speaking of the Instagram page, that is all the news. And don't forget to check our Instagram page. You'll see all the trailers, or as many of the trailers as I can possibly get up there, and Instagram will allow me to keep up, because they've been taking quite a bit down over the past few weeks. But yeah, you'll see plenty of stuff over there. Don't forget to subscribe to that at _Twinkle_pod. Up next, if you have no idea who GW Bridge is from Marvel Comics, it's time for you to learn just a little bit about him, so you can be in the know when we do see Captain America: Brave New World. 1991. That's when the first appearance of GW Bridge in X-Force #1 happened. It's August of 1991 to be exact. Now, I had to go back and look up as much information as I can, because GW Bridge is not that fantastic of a character. Well, I'm not going to say he's a bad character by no stretch of the imagination, but he's not really used very often in comics going after his first appearance and a few appearances after that. And he does a bit, but not a lot. He's not very active in comic books, especially now. So for them to dredge this character up, stick one of our best actors in it, and say, hey, this is who's going to be one of the villains, if not one of the good guys, we don't know quite yet, in one of your flagship movies for Marvel going forward with Captain America: Brave New World. That's saying something. Now, Giancarlo Esposito has already said that this character isn't a one-off. He isn't just going to appear in Captain America and then be gone. He's going to appear again and again and again, most specifically in his own series. Now that's saying something, because for them to use this character, that's to me saying that it sort of gives us a direction of where they're going to go along with the TV shows, because I don't think that this is going to be a movie. It's going to be a TV show going forward. But if you don't know who GW Bridge is, let me give you some background on him. So August 1991, again, that is the first appearance in X-Force 1. Now, GW Bridge does not have superpowers. He's not a superhuman, but he is highly trained in hand-to-hand combat and the use of firearms. Plus, he is a very, very skilled strategist. Now, when you say skilled strategist, you might be asking, well, how good is he? He's good enough to also be a high-ranking member of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, to me, that says where they're going to go in the TV show. Remember, the last time we saw Nick Fury, he was going back up to space, right? So who's running S.H.I.E.L.D.? Right? They've already killed Maria Hill. So what if, when they do the TV show, GW Bridge becomes the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Sounds far-fetched, but I don't think that that's too far-fetched for something that Marvel would do, especially how they use smaller characters for bigger roles inside of the MCU. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they're going to do, but hey, it's just a theory that I have. Now, GW Bridge has worked with a few different groups, mainly Six Pack, S.H.I.E.L.D., like I said, Weapon Prime, and Janus. But he's also worked hand in hand at certain points in his run throughout the comics with Cable, the time-traveling mutant that is very closely related to the X-Men. Now, we know the X-Men are going to be a big deal going forward in the MCU. So, again, what if they're using GW Bridge to be director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who has to be the bridge, no pun intended, between the X-Men and just metahumans and everything that has to do with everybody else inside of the MCU. Again, theory, but it makes sense when you think about it. Now, all in all, he's, like I said, he's a very unremarkable character, but I don't think they're using him to be some extremely awesome character. I honestly think they're going to use him going forward in the same way you use Nick Fury, the same way they used him before. Nick Fury was never some remarkable character that had powers and did all these fantastic things. He was really good. He was really good at strategizing. He was damn good at weapons and hand to hand, even in his older age. If Nick Fury's not going to be the guy going forward, I can see them acting in a way where they stick GW Bridge into that role, and that'll be good. You go from one black guy to another, so that's good for me. And GW Bridge is indeed a black guy inside of Marvel Comics. Well, technically he's kind of red skinned, but that's a whole different thing. We'll get to that. Like I said, he's also been connected to the government. He actually became U.S. president too. In a separate universe, GW Bridge did. So I could see them actually doing that as well. Maybe saying that he was close to the president, high ranking in the government, and somebody said, hey, we don't know where Fury is. Let him run S.H.I.E.L.D. We can trust him. He's obviously close to us. So that means when we need him to do something, he'll do it. He won't just follow the orders of everybody else. And I think that would actually work if, especially after watching that Captain America Brave New World trailer, Harrison Ford's character, who is he's playing Ross, who becomes president, just like in the comics, before he becomes Red Hulk, just like in the comics. And in this, that's what's going to happen. He looks at Sam Wilson and says, hey, you might be Captain America, but you're no Steve Rogers. So that means that there's a rift, obviously, between them, which it was going to be anyway. So what if that rift means that Cap is no longer the government guy, right? It wouldn't be Sam Wilson. It was always going to be Steve Rogers that was going to be the government guy. But what if Captain America is no longer the government guy and they need somebody who is? And they send GW Bridge to bring him to heal, but he doesn't succeed. So they say, hey, it looks like you're going to need a hand. Here's the keys to everything in S.H.I.E.L.D. and you take over. Again, this is all theory, but I think that that's what's going to happen. For me, like I said at the beginning, it is not a character that I would think that they would bring up to use. We still don't know if it's actually 100% GW Bridge. I think it is, though. But for them to pull this character out of the annals of Marvel Comics and use him in a way for him to run S.H.I.E.L.D. and to be the government guy up against metahumans and mutants and superhumans, honestly, that's a good thing. Because to me, that's saying that the direction in which Marvel is going is very different from the direction that we've gotten over the last few movies. Less comedic, more close to the comics, more serious tone. That's a good thing. That addresses all of the problems that Marvel has had over, I would say, the last 5 or 6 films. And if they're going to do that, especially with Ross being retconned after the passing of William Hurt and now being played by Harrison Ford, that should also start the ball rolling for them to recast T'Challa. That's a different conversation that we'll have at another time. I'm going to step away. When we come back, it's time to get to those reviews. Anime, animation, TV show, film. 4 different reviews, and we're going to do them all in rapid succession. So let's get to it. So first up, we have the Nier Automata anime. Now, to me, I was trying to figure out if I actually wanted to watch this at all. Let's be for real. When it comes to video game adaptations, we've really only had one, and that was The Last of Us. Now, the funny thing is this came out at the same time as The Last of Us, and I have ignored it ever since. But I decided, hey, the second season's coming out pretty soon. Let me go watch the first one. Maybe it'll be somewhat good, and I'll watch the second season. And guess what? It was really good. They did something that I didn't think was possible. They took a video game and turned it into an anime and did it damn near perfectly. Not only did they use the original director, Yoko Taro, and bring him in order to help direct this, but they also got the voice cast to voice the exact same characters inside of the anime. That's not something that happens very often. Now, if this was a live action, I probably would have been a hell of a lot more skeptical. And that was the only reason I really went and watched it, because it was an anime. So I said, hey, everything that's in the video game should be able to appear in this, because you have the luxury and the ability to stretch the bounds because it's animated. And guess what? We got it. They even brought in other properties from like the Drakengard series, which does connect to this in the video games. And they did that in a way to tell a wider ranging story. And like I said, it was damn near perfect. Everything in this is just like the video game. The only thing that I didn't like, it's only one season so far. But like I said, the new season is coming, and I cannot wait to watch the second one. Thank you very much for everybody who worked on this. They did a fantastic job. This is easily 9 out of 10. So the Acolyte is over. Mercifully. Man, what could have been so good fell so short. So much potential, and they just did not reach it. It fell short with flat characters and clumsy storytelling. Everything that was I could have wanted out of this, I almost got. I wanted a good story. I wanted some good action. I wanted to see the Force being used. I wanted lightsaber duels. I wanted everything that you would think would be in the Star Wars universe. But the problem is we got good fight scenes and we saw the Force being used. But the storytelling itself was clumsy. And I think that was because we only got 8 episodes out of this one season. It's too short. It's not enough time to tell the story that needed to be told. There's flashbacks and we only get it in 2 episodes, and they are so short and they leave out so much critical information that we don't get any coherence throughout the 8 episodes. This could have been a spectacular series. Honestly, if they had had more time, I honestly think had they had a chance to go 10, maybe 12 episodes, this series would have been so much better. The Acolyte fell so far short of what I expected after seeing those first 2 episodes, and I am very sad at that. It's a 6 out of 10, and honestly, I think I'm being very generous by saying 6. $1.4 billion and growing, there's a reason why Inside Out 2 is the #1 film this year. Yes, it's bright, it's loud, and it's colorful, and it's a kid's movie. But it's not exactly only a kid's movie. This is something I think adults need to see too. With so much talk about what's going on in the world with mental health and how to deal with stress and everything else, this is a film that not only reminds adults that, hey, your children are going through things that we don't understand, but it also reminds adults that, hey, you were these kids at the same time at one point too. These are the things that you went through. What makes you think your kids aren't going to go through it? And it does give most unknowing adults a framework on how to approach it. It's a fantastic movie. I rarely get a chance to sit in a movie theater with my kids and they be still long enough to watch a film. And they were enthralled. And that's saying something. Now, turns out this second go round, which doesn't happen very often with sequels, this is as good, if not better than the first. 2015 was the first movie. 9 years later now we get the second. That's saying something. I understand why it's the #1 film of the year. And believe me, if you haven't seen it after you go see it, you'll know why too. Easily 9 out of 10. They announced Axel F for Netflix. The first thing I was thinking was, oh God, please don't do what you did to this series with the same thing you did with the third film. That third film was so bad. And I was expecting that maybe, only because it was going to be on Netflix and not in theaters, that's what we were going to get. Thank God I was so wrong. Axel F is possibly the best film in this series outside of the first. Honestly, it's not possible. It is. To me, if you're going to rank them, it's the first film, this, Axel F, #2, then the third one. This movie does nothing new that we haven't seen Axel Foley get into. Detroit cop goes out to Beverly Hills, gets into shenanigans, solves the crime, saves the day, is the hero. And that's all we wanted. Axel F did not need to tread new ground, did not need to do anything new. All he needed to do was be coherent. It is. It needed to be funny. It is. We needed to see Axel be his same hard-boiled but comedic self. He is. Eddie Murphy is on point every step of the way. And to see his daughter in the film become a cop herself, that fits too. If anybody was going to have a child become a cop, it would definitely be Axel Foley. This film is awesome. I love seeing the older faces from the old films, not just Eddie's show up in this one, like Judge Reinhold. I love to see, I love to see so many of the same gags be reused in a new way. The only gag that they didn't use was the banana in the tailpipe. But I saw an interview where Eddie said that they had asked him, "Hey, can we stick this in the movie?" He said, "No, I don't want to go that far back and to dig up all of the old gags." And I'm glad that they did. That was something that was very much specific to the first movie, and they could just leave it there, and that's fine. But this is an awesome movie. It did, like I said, it didn't need to do anything new. It didn't need to do anything spectacular. It just needed to be itself. It needed to sit in its own lane, in its own niche, and just be itself. And it was. Axel F is awesome. Easily 8 out of 10. That's all of our reviews. What did you think? Actually, did you actually see all of these? Did you see any of these? Let me know in the comments, and we'll be right back. So that's it, and that's all. It's time for the last call. I want to thank each and every single one of you for hanging out with me while I do this pokey little podcast. You didn't have to. You could be doing anything, but you decided to roll on over here on the Sunday afternoon and hang with me, and I truly appreciate it for every single one of you. I don't care if it's 1, 5, 10, 100, or 1,000. I truly appreciate it, believe me. Let's check in with our last call weekend watch list. Now, I was actually already started watching it over the weekend. As far as our film and our nostalgia pick go, Popeye. It's such a great fun movie, and to think that Robin Williams had already passed away, and now we lost Shelley Duvall, who both played Popeye and Olive Oyl respectively in the film. I decided I was going to watch that this weekend. And our series and animation pick is Cash Earned Sins. If you've never seen this anime, it is very morose, it is depressing, but it's still very good. It's some good action, it's some good drama, it's a really good anime. It goes back to what, 2011, I want to believe. Don't quote me on the year, but I believe it's 2011. It's a really good anime if you've never seen it. So if you've never watched it, watch it. Cash Earned Sins. I'm pretty sure you can find it on anywhere that they're streaming anime. So that's it, and that's all. It's time for us to go. Thank you for hanging out with me. I always say it. Don't forget, stay hydrated, stay blessed, and remember, if you're feeling like the darkness is closing in, or you pick up the phone, dial or text 988. There's always somebody there to talk to. You are never, ever alone. So it's time for us to go. For our producer, Nikki Rev, we will end this episode the same way we end every episode. God bless. I love you, and peace. See you next time.